You want a tip on how I keep up with the pace of this election cycle? Hang around until the end of this video to learn how to unlimit your information with ground news. Before I get started here, it's obvious you have a stomach for the fight. You want to be in this. You want to support creators who are doing good work. And there is one underappreciated creator that I want to talk about today. I have a history of propping up creators, trying to promote, not prop up, but promote creators who are underappreciated. People like Garrison Hayes and the different times that I've had people on or shared videos and talked about. Brittany Page, who I have a direct emotional and life connection to, is one of these creators. I would ask you to do me and her a favor and go subscribe to her channel and engage with her content. There will be a link below. I would appreciate it very much. Let's talk about this very document. The same document that voters, I wouldn't say overwhelmingly, but a majority of voters in the United States decided doesn't matter. The Constitution of the United States. It doesn't matter that Donald Trump has said that the non-existent fraud that absolutely did not take place in 2020, because if it did, why did it happen again in 2024? That it justified terminating all rules, regulations, and articles up to and including the Constitution of the United States. So it should come as no surprise that Donald Trump is absolutely now disrespecting, disregarding, and ignoring the separation of powers within the Constitution that sets up the co-equal branches of government. This is basic civics that a majority of American idiot voters said, we don't care about that. We care about inflation, even though inflation is at near record lows. Make it make sense. So Trump, who's apparently back to governing from Twitter, he's back on Twitter. He tweeted this at 2:21 yesterday. Any Republican senator seeking the coveted leadership position in the United States Senate must agree to recess appointments in the Senate. This is the other thing that I'm not looking forward to in a Donald Trump second term, is this absolutely idiot grasp of the English language, without which we will not be able to get people confirmed in a timely manner. Sometimes the votes can take 2 years or more. This is what they did 4 years ago, and we cannot let it happen again. We need positions filled immediately. Additionally, no judges should be approved during this period of time because the Democrats are looking to ram through their judges as the Republicans fight over leadership. This is not acceptable, thank you. There's two things going on here. One, he is governing as though there are not two co-equal branches of government. He's ordering the Senate to do his bidding before he's even in office. The Senate doesn't answer to the President of the United States. The House of Representatives doesn't answer to the President of the United States. They certainly don't answer to the President-elect of the United States, who is not yet an elected official, who has no power constitutionally at all. Zero. He's telling them, don't do your constitutionally mandated duty of advice and consent in the process of the nomination process, the confirmation process. Don't do that for Joe Biden, but do it for me when I'm in office. Except now you don't really have to do that. What we'll do is appoint cabinet officials and people who constitutionally require Senate confirmation. We'll just do it when you're out of session, and we'll make them recess appointments. This is from the Constitution, the actual Constitution, the thing Republicans seem to not give a single shit about. This is Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2. He shall have power, he, being the President of the United States, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. And he shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors and other ministers of consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may, by law, vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. And then Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3, the very next sentence. The president shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. So I want to read a tweet from a Georgetown law professor who had this to say in a quote tweet to Donald Trump's tweet. He said, Republicans are going to have a 53-47 majority in the Senate. And yet, here's Trump urging the Senate to go into recess so they can bypass it altogether. In other words, he wants to install folks who couldn't even get through that Senate. It's going to be a long 4 years. Donald Trump intends, just based on normal logic and noodling through what he's saying here, he intends to nominate people that are so radical, they would cause too much consternation for Donald Trump in the confirmation process. That even this Senate would have a hard time confirming them. So he's telling the Senate, you need to go into recess so then I can appoint recess ambassadors, recess cabinet officials, recess officers of the United States of America. Don't do your job of advice and consent and withhold your advice and consent. Don't allow Joe Biden to do his constitutionally mandated job. There's just no respect for the process, no respect for the founding documents, no respect for the country. It's all about Donald Trump implementing his fascist agenda, foisting us into chaos. It's going to be a long 4 years, as Steve, what's his last name? Vladeck said. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. That'll help YouTube to share this content and maybe enlist new individuals to this fight. You can also call. The voicemail line is open, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me as always daily at dollemore.com. I appreciate you being here. If you want to find me on social media, I have a defunct account that is not and will not be used any longer on Twitter, but I am on Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram and TikTok at Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. Stick around for an offer from this sponsor of today's video, the sponsor of today's video, Ground News, a resource that's more important now in the Trump years than maybe it ever has been. This presidential election is going to be the most pivotal in modern American history. Once you've cast your vote, though, you need to think beyond the implications of this particular election. Disinformation and right-wing extremism, they aren't going away anytime soon. With the amount of voices in the discourse, it is easier than ever to be misled or misinformed. You need to be able to critically assess the news that you're ingesting. Where can you do that? Ground News. They're an independent, nonpartisan news platform dedicated to exposing any hidden agendas in the information you consume. I find Ground News valuable because they show which way news outlets lean politically, who funds them, and whether their reporting is honest. Use Ground News' app, website, or browser extension to instantly access all the perspectives on any issue and avoid being manipulated. Plus, if you sign up for their Vantage plan, you can access features designed to highlight opposing narratives on the left and the right and expose your own blind spots too. I regularly encourage everybody in my audience to avoid echo chambers and to check the facts. You are well aware just how rapidly the lies of Trump and others can be spread and how long that they can linger. Go to ground.news/Dollemore or just scan this QR code for integrity-driven news that you can trust and confidently share with others. Sign up with me and you'll get a huge deal on the same top-tier Vantage plan that I use. With our very democracy at stake this season, it is essential that you are clearly informed. Subscribe to Ground News today, and remember, the fight for democracy doesn't stop after November 5th. It's just getting started.